and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alyssa if you don't know me, and today I'm going to talk to you about going to New York to see Taylor Swift. So I went to see the Eras Tour at the end of May and it was the best concert ever. I enjoyed it so much, but the whole trip was so much fun. It was such a whirlwind, so I didn't vlog it because I went with some friends and I knew it was gonna be a busy trip. So I didn't vlog, but I do want to do a little recap of everything before the stories and memories fly out of my brain. I'm gonna do a little recap, pop some pictures and videos in, and also try to give you some tips if you are either traveling pregnant or also going to the Eras Tour. So Saturday morning, me and my friend Tanis got a flight from Halifax to New Jersey direct. It was just over 2 and a bit hours, I think. Funnily enough, my friends Ali and Sam were on the exact same flight in the same row as us. That was the first sign of a very good trip because somehow the travel gods placed us all in one row together. We had such a good time. It really made traveling more enjoyable because I was nervous. I was traveling 18 weeks pregnant and something had come up in one of my scans previously that made me a little bit nervous about flying, but my doctors gave me the okay. They said, go, have a good time. The main things that I did were just trying to manage my nausea because I was still very nauseous at this time. So I snacked a lot on the plane. I took ginger Gravol. I used those anti-nausea wristbands. I just found some at the grocery store. And I also used compression socks on my feet and legs. I'm happy to say I did not get nauseous on the plane. That was a huge relief, but a funny thing is that I don't know which tricks worked because I did all of the tricks. So that would be my recommendation. Those are easy things to do. Keep snacking, take medication if you feel like you need it, wear some funky wristbands, and have a puke bag ready to go just in case because not all the airlines provide it in the seat anymore. So that was the first step done. We made it to New Jersey and our friend Laura picked us up and drove us to our first hotel. So the three of us were staying. She's actually living in New Jersey right now, so she was more familiar with the area and was able to drive us around, which was great. So the three of us went to our first hotel, which was the Holland Hotel. Now, I have to admit, I was a little nervous to stay here, just solely based off of the looks. This is a classic don't judge a book by its cover story because it was cheaper than a lot of the hotels nearby and it looked kind of like a weird motel, but all of the reviews were great, so that's why we ended up booking it. And I'm happy to say we didn't have any issues. As far as I could tell, everything seemed clean, safe, people were nice, we had free breakfast. It was great. The bathrooms were a little outdated. That's the only thing I can really say is a downside, but honestly, for staying there one night, it was perfect. It was just what we needed. So after we got checked in and got a little freshened up, we took the PATH train from New Jersey into New York. That took us about half an hour on the train or subway. So that was a really easy way for us to get right into the city. And then we walked straight to Times Square to go to the TKTS booth. This is my second time going there for last minute Broadway tickets, and I would highly recommend it if you're not sold on a specific show that you want to see. So this booth sells last minute tickets for shows day of. It doesn't have some of the most popular shows, like Sweeney Todd, for example, had just come out recently, and I knew that it wasn't going to be on the list. So basically we got into the lineup. We probably waited around half an hour, maybe a little bit more, but that gave us lots of time to decide what we wanted to go for. There's also staff along the lineup that tell you about the different shows. They ask if you have any questions. They can make recommendations based on things that you like and don't like. So that's really helpful. We decided to narrow it down to 3 shows, and then we got up to the counter and we just asked, hey, do you have any tickets available for 3 seats together in any of these shows, and what are the prices? So we ended up getting tickets for Chicago, which I'll come back to in a minute. So that worked out really well. After that, we took a little walk out of the crowds into beautiful streets of New York with trees, and oh, I just love it there. We walked over to basically the corner of 10th Avenue and 42nd Street. to a place called Social Drink and Food. We wanted to find a rooftop reservation because it was a really beautiful day, and this was a spot that was available, so we decided to try it. It was basically the top of a hotel, but it was really cute. It had lots of greenery and it was overlooking some things, but there were some buildings up taller than us, so it was kind of a nice in-between sort of rooftop bar. We had some yummy flatbreads there and some drinks, and I had some great catch-ups with the girls. It was just so nice. I've never really done a girls' weekend like that, so it was really good to like just chat and hang out and have a great time. After that, we knew we had time for one more stop before our Broadway show, so we went to Pocket Bar NYC. And this is a place that we picked out randomly, but it was so cute. I don't know if this is true at all, but it didn't feel like it was a touristy place. It felt like there were some locals there. But it was this tiny little bar. There was a woman running it all by herself, and she was just like chatting to everybody. It seemed like she was friends with the regulars, and it was a really cool spot. There was this board on the wall that had letters on it that would change every 10 minutes. So we tried to get some cute videos of that. It would have like a friend's quote there, and then it would have another quote, and then it would have a picture. The girls had shark sangria, which was super cute. I got a non-alcoholic cocktail, and she gave us popcorn. It was just a really cute, fun experience. Kind of a random spot that I never would have picked out on my own. And then we walked to go see Chicago on Broadway. I've seen some versions of Chicago before, like the movie and some local productions of it. So as excited as I was like, I already know, like I know what's coming. But this show really blew me away. All of the vocals were incredible. I know it's Broadway, but seriously, character after character, I would be like, whoa, how are you singing like that? I would get goosebumps and chills, and I was almost crying. It was amazing. The band was on stage for this production, and so you could see them playing and interacting with the cast. As a musician, I really enjoy that. It kind of adds to the experience. All the choreography was amazing. Another interesting thing I feel like you don't see a lot in shows is that the ensemble was on stage on the sides, kind of subtly reacting to what was happening in the forefront, and then as soon as they needed to come on, they would hop into place, but you could still see them as they were like, they're not in the scene, but they're still part of the atmosphere. So yeah, it was incredible. I would highly recommend it, even if you've seen the show before and don't seem super excited about it like me. It was incredible. So after that, we were exhausted. That's a very full day. So we grabbed some snacks at a grocery store, got an Uber, and headed back to the hotel. When we got back, we ran into our first big issue of the trip, which is that Laura's car was not opening with the keep fob. And so we tried to fix it that night, it wouldn't work. So she was up really early the next morning trying to sort it out. I felt so bad. We were worried we were gonna have to leave the car at this hotel. It was like a little bit chaotic. But we ended up walking to Dunkin' Donuts, which as a Canadian, it's kind of fun to try. And then we walked to Home Depot to grab some booster cables for the car. The sweetest lady ever in the hotel parking lot came over. She saw that we were looking at the car, and she came over, gave us a boost. She knew how to do the whole thing, which is great because the three of us were like, we don't know what we're doing. And her and her sister were visiting there. They were the sweetest people, and they helped us, and I almost cried. It was so emotional. I'm so glad that it worked out. They were like such a blessing to us. So we had the car good to go. You have to drive it for a little while after it gets boosted. So we decided to take a Target trip. We used to have Target here for like a couple years, and then it left, and so Tanis and I were very excited to go for a Target shopping haul. So we went, and Laura joined us after running the car for a bit. We got some clothes, I got some baby clothes, and we looked at all of the many sparkling water options that we don't have in Canada and different kinds of foods that we don't have here. It was a blast. It's not something that I normally do when I go to New York, but man, it was a great time. After that, we checked out of the first hotel and headed over to the next one, the Residence Inn by Marriott Secaucus Meadowlands. What a long name. This hotel was really nice. It was pretty much as close as we could get to MetLife Stadium, which was perfect because this is concert day. We got some lunch at a restaurant called Houlihan's right behind the hotel, and then luckily we got an early check-in at the hotel. And this is when things really started to set in. Up until that point, it was still really, really hard to believe that we were going to see Taylor Swift in person. As soon as we checked in and started walking through the halls of the hotel, I was like, this is happening. This is insane. We got there, we hung out for a bit, and then we started getting ready for the concert. You might have seen in one of the vlogs I posted that we were designing our own jackets. And so those turned out really well. We had 3 matching jackets and we all did our hair, makeup, got our outfits on, and then we headed to the concert. We got an Uber there and the traffic was insane. I think our hotel was technically like a 10-minute drive away from MetLife Stadium, but with all of the traffic for the concert, it took a while, so I'm glad that we headed there early. We got in line to get in, and again, until they actually scanned our tickets, it was like, I feel like this might not happen. But we made it, we got in. We didn't end up buying merch because the line was so long. I'm sure if we had gotten in as soon as we got there, we might have had time, but we still didn't want to chance it. So we grabbed some food and met up with Ali and Sam again for a quick picture, and then we watched the openers. So there was an opener named Owen who turned out to be one of Taylor's backup dancers that now does music, so that was pretty cool. He did a good job. And then Phoebe Bridgers was the second opener, who Laura really loves, so it was great to see her perform. Yeah, it was really nice. We lucked out with the weather. It was just really hot when we got there because it's an open stadium, so the sun is like beating down on you. As soon as the openers were done, the sun was starting to set behind the other side of the stadium, so it was perfect. Now, if you know anything about the Eras Tour, like me, you've been watching clips on TikTok for months, you know that when Lady Gaga's applause comes on, things are happening. So I heard that and I was like, she's coming. She's coming out, I know it. And there's this like clock that does a timer that ticks down the minutes and the seconds until she comes on. So then Taylor started and it was the most incredible 3 hours. It was just one big blur. I'll try to recap it as best I can. If you don't know, her Eras Tour is obviously about all of the eras of her music and her different albums. So that's how she divided up the set. So she came out in her Lover outfit and did a bunch of songs from Lover. The backup dancers come out with these like beautiful floating fabric pieces. I don't know what to call them. They're like huge sails. And it was just breathtakingly beautiful. And then there's a moment when you know that she's underneath them, and then they lifted them up. I saw her and started bawling. Like makeup was running down my face. It was wild. I was trying to film it and I couldn't hold my phone because I was freaking out. It was just incredible. I've been a Taylor Swift fan for years and years. I kind of stopped listening to her music in the middle, but then I got back into it so much in the last few years. And seeing her live only confirmed what an incredible artist she is. Not only for her music, but her songwriting and her mastermind ability to have Easter eggs in everything and plan everything out in advance and just have everything so cohesively beautiful. I don't know how to explain it. And then on top of that, she can sing 3 hours straight, multiple days a week, and still be a human being who's like making mistakes sometimes and joking with the crowd. And I don't know how to describe it. She is incredible. I know she's not everybody's favorite type of music, but I do think that she's one of the most amazing artists, if not the most amazing artist of our time. I'm so thankful that I got to see her live. So the show was so much fun. It was just like hit after hit after hit. If you can think of a Taylor Swift song, you know, it was probably played. But on top of that, there's all these other songs from her albums that maybe weren't hits that she is doing as surprise songs. So she does 2 surprise songs a night at each show so that they're slightly different. And one of them that she did for our show was Welcome to New York, which me and the girls had talked about, and we were like, she's probably not gonna do it because she's already done 2 shows in New Jersey. She did it on night 3. It was so good. It was an acoustic version and it was really sweet. I loved it. And then she did Clean, which I don't know as well because, like I said, I wasn't listening to her as much around that time. It's from 1989, and so now I feel like Clean has this whole new special meaning because she chose to sing it for us. It was actually the 2nd time she's performed it as a surprise song, but it was gorgeous. She played piano, sang it. Oh, she is such a queen. All of her outfits were beautiful. The choreography was incredible. Her voice is just insane. And someone said like, well, is she lip syncing? And I was like, no. Like, you can tell she's changing some notes. You can hear her actually singing. I'm sure she doesn't sing every single note of every song that entire show, but she's not just dipping in and out. You can hear her like throughout the entire show. There's this like massive screen at the back of the stage, and that was showing different graphics and music videos and different scenes. I just don't know how to describe it to you, that it was not just a concert. It was like an entire experience. And the fact that everyone was so enthralled in this for 3 hours is so fascinating to me. And everyone was standing for almost 3 hours, and as you know, I was 18 weeks pregnant and I was like, I'm starting to get sore. My belly's hurting and I kind of want to sit down, but I don't want to miss anything. I would like sit down when she was changing off stage, and then as soon as another era would start, I'd be like back up, ready to go. They have these bracelets that light up, and so the crowd is like lit up throughout. If you're a Taylor Swift fan and you have the opportunity to go see this show, 100% do it. I'm already considering trying to get tickets for the UK tour next year. If you are going to the show, I just want to go over a couple of tips really quick. So number 1, check your stadium requirements on what you're allowed to bring in and not bring into the venue. We had to get clear bags that were of a certain size so that we could bring them into the venue. We were allowed to bring in snacks, which we brought a lot of because food there is so expensive. We did get some food, but it was nice to have a bunch of snacks with us, especially for me being pregnant. And we were also allowed to bring in bottled water that was unopened. So it was helpful for us to have a clear idea of what we were going to be allowed in with and what we were not. I wore earplugs for most of the concert. It was quite loud, and not just the audio of the actual performance, but the thousands of screaming people near you. It will blast your eardrums out. So I just bought a cheap pair off Amazon. I think it helped. I don't know for sure, but I think it is something good to consider. We also brought battery packs for our phones, which was really helpful because you want to take pictures and videos during the show and you do not want your phone dying. My next tip is to wear something comfortable. I know it can feel a little nerve-wracking trying to decide what to wear. I had the same problem. And a lot of people go all out for this. Like, it is like a fashion show. For Taylor Swift concerts, Harry Styles concerts, I've seen like people go wild, okay? But I do think that comfort should be one of your top priorities, especially for your feet. So I wore sneakers. You know, maybe it didn't look as cute as it could have if I wore cowboy boots or something, but I was pretty much comfortable the whole time, which was great. My last tip is just to enjoy yourself and try to take in every moment. I feel like it's already partially out of my brain, but I can remember what it felt like being there and how amazing it was. Oh gosh, I'm gonna get emotional. I feel like there's a bit of a balance to taking a bunch of photos and videos during the show and just standing there, being in the moment, singing along. So I tried to do a bit of both so that I've got lots of videos to look back on, but I was also just like there in the moment. Taylor says during the show that, you know, she wrote these songs during different phases of her life, and we've heard them at different phases of our life, but when you come out of the concert, you have a whole new experience and memory to attach to these songs. So it was a really special show. I'm so glad that we went. My 2 friends and I had such an amazing time, and it was really special knowing that My little one inside me was there too, and I think they could hear the music at that time, so it's pretty cool. It was quite chaotic trying to get out of the concert. MetLife holds 82,000 people, so of course it was going to be chaotic. We thought we had a good plan. I still think we did one of the best things, which was to take a train immediately out of there and then try to get an Uber or a Lyft. And that just took a long time, but overall, I think it went really well. I guess a bonus tip would be to try to plan your transportation for before, but especially after the show, because you will be tired, it'll be crazy, and you want to just find a way to get out of there and get to wherever you're staying. So we made it back to the hotel a couple hours after the show ended, and we were exhausted, but we had so much fun. And then Tanis and I had to fly out early the next morning. It was a little crazy getting home as well because we flew standby, so we weren't totally sure if we were gonna make it home by the end of the day, but the travel gods were in our favor yet again. And we flew from New Jersey to Toronto and then somehow got on a very full flight from Toronto to Halifax, and everything worked out. It was such a quick trip, but it was so memorable and so much fun. It shows you that no matter how long a trip is, you can really make the most out of it. It was really fun for me to look back on this trip with you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe it gave you some helpful tips if you're traveling to New York or New Jersey, or if you're going to see one of the Eras Tour performances. I hope you have the best time if you are going. It is well worth it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video very soon. Bye!